Hello, I'm Justine Willis-Toms. Welcome to the New Dimensions Cafe. Today I'm hosting Mark Nepo, poet, philosopher, and spiritual teacher, author of the 5th season, Creativity in the Second Half of Life. I'm speaking with Mark at his home by remote connection. Welcome, Mark, to the New Dimensions Cafe.
Oh, thank you, Justine. It's always good to be with you.
It's so great to be with you, too. And I know that you have entered your 70s and you've expressed more interest in that question of what does it mean to age. And so my question is, as our physical bodies change and we're physically no longer able to do what we've always done, and maybe loved ones are passing away, what is your experience that makes life meaningful to you as you age and are coping with possibly limitations?
Yeah, I'm exploring this because I'm in this continent of aging, like so many people, and really looking at the issues with no answers, but really just what are the deep questions? What are the things we're facing? And for me, I've really begun to discover that while our bodies are aging and we experience pain and limitations. At the same time, after a lifetime, our spirit is deepening and opening and broadening, and not in a way that we turn from the pain to try to rationalize or cheer up or compensate, but that as the outer world is is closing, it's almost like, gravity. After a lifetime of experiencing gravity, then the opposite of gravity is the emanation of spirit, which is always coming from the in out. And as we can stay open to a lifetime of that depth, the whole of it makes aging more, it doesn't eliminate the pain, but it helps right size it and makes it more of a dance. It may be awkward at times, but it's always graceful and precious. And in the last 8 months, I went through. I had to have fusion back surgery, which was a pretty big deal. And so I'm 74, and I realize on the other side, my God, my back is fine. I'm slowly getting back to walking fully and getting the muscles back, but I'm not actually going back. I'm not, oh, I'm back. Some people say, oh, you're back now. No, no, I'm never going back. I'm trying to discover what's the new normal. What are the new gifts? What are the new slight adjustments I have to make? Which doesn't mean, we too often in our age pathologize the shifts that come with aging, and they're not all deficiencies, and they're not all pathologies, they're not all urgent crises. We are, like, I've learned a lot from the old trees in my yard. We're old trees creaking, and the trees learn how to bend with the wind without falling over. And one of the joys, or the meaning, if you will, of aging and being here long enough, is that the meaning is the wind coming through the tree that is us.
Wow, yes. Mark, I know that you suggest that we may benefit by looking at our ground of being or our perception.
Yeah.
What is it we can count on that we can stand on?
So let me give a very physical example and a metaphor from during my this chronic pain that I was in for 8 months, and I'd never been through something quite like it. And of course, my compassion for people who can't find a way out of it. Oh my God, I can't imagine. I mean, I was blessed and lucky to find a way through it. And but in it, you know, there was pain and there was fear, and I had to feel it, not run from it, but I had to ask myself, okay, I'm in a lot of pain. and I don't know where this is going, and I'm afraid. Well, where does it stop? Like everything in the world isn't afraid or in pain. I am. I'm not going to minimize it, but where am I? So literally, the floor is not in pain. The floor is not afraid. The earth under the floor is not afraid or in pain. The sky above me is not. So, not to say, oh, well, then therefore what I'm feeling doesn't matter. No, what I'm feeling is real and matters. But now I have something solid to relate to while I'm in pain, while I'm afraid. So I need to be, this is what I mean by staying in a relationship with everything larger than us and returning to a foundational truth that has been here forever and that will not go anywhere. And that's not a minimizing of the pain and fear. It gives us something to stand on while we're in pain and afraid, and stay in conversation. So, all the way back to when I had cancer in my 30s, and I was going through very different kind of life-threatening pain and fear. Well, I realized from all that time, decades ago, yes, I need the company of someone who knows what it's like to be in pain and broken, but I need everything whole to heal. I need the company of those who know what it is to be afraid, but I need everything safe to heal. Thank God everything isn't like me.
Right. When you pose this question in your book and what I wrote, I like, okay, what do I stand on? What is one of my ground of being? And I wrote down that I truly trust that there is more to life than the material plane that I'm looking at, that I see or feel or touch with my senses, that there's more than this material world, and it's divine, and there's grace there. And so that's one of the places that you help me to go to
Oh, well,
remember.
thank you. And I feel similarly, and maybe that's the part of me that's a poet. But I have always felt that, we can use the metaphor of an iceberg. Existence is the top, is the part that we see, but it's all held up by everything that we can't see. And it seems like the artist or the poet's job is to reveal as much of what's underneath the surface as possible. And it's part of our job as a spirit in a body in time on earth as we age to stay in relationship with everything that's below surface as well as what's above. Otherwise, limitation will just run the show.
Exactly. I'm reminded of something that I read years ago about grounding, and this has to do with a very, very tiny spider. And the spider I think it wasn't bigger than a freckle. It's very, very tiny. But what this spider would do is that it would stretch a web from one side of a stream to the other. So it would
Ah,
ground its web on the sides of the stream. However, it would also send these other threads down into the
ah,
stream, and it would glue itself miraculously to to the flowing waters at the same time it was grounding itself. And for me, that analogy just blew my circuits. you know,
yeah, that's
you,
beautiful. And
you,
another, I feel like, you know, and this is, we look often to the outer world for respect, approval, worth. Well, once we experience great love or great suffering, it's all our worth, our authenticity, our authority of being comes from our connection to the authority of all being.
ah,
And then the heart, to me, is an inlet between everything that holds the world up and the world. And this is our, then that inlet is our authenticity. And this becomes ever more important as we age. As we age, how do we keep that inlet open? And that is through uh, our kinship and conversation, our asking questions, our telling our story, our listening to our story, our being present, our opening when we feel closed, our saying it hurts when it hurts, so that doesn't be the only story that keeps playing.
Right. Oh, wait, that's a good one. Saying we're hurting when we're hurting so it doesn't keep replaying. Say more about that one.
Well, I think that, when we are hurting, and I know this again, I'll just go back to my most immediate experience with the back journey, you know, um, and I was hurting a lot. And I also felt like, gee, I don't want to be complaining about this all the time, but I also can't just keep it in because otherwise I'm just playing the same signal in me constantly. And it just starts echoing and replaying and echoing and more and more focus. And when I can express it, and this again is the value of expression, whether we're young, old, or whatever, is to when we let it out, it cleans the inlet so that the next new thing can come through. And so I have to say that it hurts when it hurts. I have to say I'm confused when I'm confused. I have to say I'm afraid when I'm afraid, so that, just as the physical heart, the arteries can get clogged, the emotional heart gets clogged with unprocessed feeling and perception. And even if I just say it alone in a room out loud, I have to clear out the emotional heart so it can keep receiving life and give some context to the real things and pains and fears I'm going through.
So this, Mark, is kind of like if we say it out loud, and especially if we can say it out loud to someone who is open to receiving it, who will not be trying to fix us or anything else. They're just
Yeah,
able to listen deeply and empathize and say yes, kind of like the Anana myth when the when she gets down to the underworld and she's in pain and the little inkies say, "Oh, her pain, oh, her sorrow," and then that transformed everything in that myth. What I'm saying is that we need to be that for each other,
yes.
that
And that
kind of
means,
listener.
and we come back to the real meaning of compassion, to be with. That means I am going to be with your pain and your wonder. And this is, by being honest and open, I need to be with your pain, but not become your pain. And we often fall into extremes. So I'm here for you. I love you. I'm open hearted. And then I become your pain and I go, gee, I didn't think it was going to be like that. Now I go the other extreme and I make a wall. And I think both throughout our lives, but even more as we age, I think the maturing of compassion is the art of how do I stay who I am and stay open hearted? How do I have porous boundaries?
Porous boundaries. That reminds me, you give the example of a species that has been on the planet for 6 million years. And this is a certain kind of sponge.
Yes. So I have a chapter, as you know, there where I tried to look at how certain species or agents of the natural world age, and the sponge is one of them. It's incredibly old, and it does this by it's as you know, a sponge is open, and so when it's in the deep, living in the deep, it allows the current to move through it. It's a series of never closing inlets that it absorbs and releases. It absorbs and releases. And that allows its very structure to stay malleable and not harden. And if you take that sponge out of the deep, it will become hard and brittle. And that is a great metaphor for what one of the skills we're being asked as we age is yes, physically my bones will get hard, they may be brittle, but the entirety of my life will stay malleable if, like a sponge, I can stay in the deep and stay a series of inlets and let life move through me and soften me and nourish me, and it'll make the part that we can't unsoften, like our bones. It will give us a way to hold that.
Yes, yes. I'd love to end our conversation talking about gratitude, because I know that's one of the attributes that you really encourage us to embrace as we age.
Yeah, and I think that gratitude, and again, this is a lifelong practice that helps renew every time we give thanks. And this doesn't mean, like when I was going through my chronic pain, I wasn't saying thank you every day, okay? But I knew that I would have thanks for unseen learnings that I couldn't yet grasp. And so it's this thank you to life, even though when I'm in the moment, it's not to kind of, idyllically say, oh, thank you for the pain. No. Um, so gratitude all along, I think, has always been a practice that reminds us in a felt way how rare it is to be here at all. And that cleans our eyes, our ears, our mind, our heart. And we go, oh my God, it doesn't have to be like this. This day has never happened. This conversation has never happened. And so gratitude is kind of it's the window washer of our lenses that helps remind us, oh my God, we're alive. Oh my God.
What you're saying is that it puts us in the present moment. I mean, we may be anxious about politics or anxious about our own health or anxious about all of this, but if we just stop in the moment and say,
Yeah.
oh, I am so grateful this chair is holding me up and all the people that put it together so well that it's going to continue to hold me up.
And so let me offer one more metaphor that help, because it's not just that we'll be grateful and that'll make all the difficult things okay. So, and again, this is looking at the ocean. And, we look at the surface and we see waves. Well, there's no distinction where a wave stops and the deep begins. It's all one water. And top anywhere from 6 inches to 2 feet is always disturbed by weather. It's never still. That top 2 feet is our presence in the surface on life. We could say this is the space of our psychology, where who we are meets the world. If we just stay up there, we're just bounced around. But we can't not be there, that we live in the world. But when we can allow ourselves to go into the depth too, when we go deeper, things soften, things slow. The the disturbance of the surface is held. It's not diminished or turned aside or rationalized. And so we are asked to be both on the surface and in the depth at the same time. And gratitude allows us to do that. Gratitude allows us not to be a prisoner of the surface.
Well said. Well said. Oh, Mark, I want to thank you so much for being with us today on the New Dimensions Cafe. I've been speaking with Mark Nepo, a poet, a philosopher, spiritual teacher, and author of the fifth season, Creativity in the Second Half of Life. And to learn more about his work, you can go to his website, marknepo.com. And he spells his last name Nepo, marknepo.com. Or you could get there through the New Dimensions website, where New Dimensions has over 1,900 programs in its archive. Go to newdimensions.org, O-R-G. I'm Justine Willis Thompson. I want to thank you so much for joining us at the New Dimensions Cafe, and I invite you, please do join us again.